Hello, Gold Derbyites. Welcome back to another edition of Awards Magnet. And we're here at the end of the year. We hope you've been enjoying your holidays. We're dropping an episode to help you through your holidays as we wait for the new year to kick in. I'm Deputy Editor Ethan Alter. I'm joined by Senior Editors Marcus James Dixon and Denton Davidson. And we are going to give you our picks for the best TV shows, TV episodes, and more of 2025. We spend a lot of our time analyzing what other people think of the best. So now we're going to take the opportunity to say what we enjoyed the most this year.
By best, I think we mean favorites.
Yes, yeah, we put it that way. Our favorites.
I'm going to preface that. I mean, mine aren't necessarily the best.
Right, exactly.
Everything.
You like trashy shows, too.
I do. And you'll find out just how trashy.
Exactly. We need a break from the prestige stuff, so the trashy stuff is perfect. That's exactly what people like to watch anyway. Yeah, we're populous here on Awards Magnet. We're going to talk about our favorite new shows, favorite returning shows, favorite episodes, and more. So let's kick things off with our favorite new shows of 2025. We each came up with the top 5. We're going to give them to you 2 at a time. So Marcus, kick us off. What are your number 5 and number 4 shows?
Yes. I mean, a lot of the shows I was thinking about actually premiered in 2024. So I had to narrow down what actually, premiered between January and December. My number 5 pick is Task. And I think the reason I liked the show was because people that I trust told me, oh, you're not going to like it. You're not going to like it. So I went into it thinking, okay, I'm not going to like it. And it was actually really good. So maybe lowering my expectations before I started Task helped me enjoy it more. I loved Mark Ruffalo in that, loved Tom Pelphrey in that. I hope, Emmy will come calling for both of them. Number 4, Paradise. This is a show where there's twists every other episode. There's flashbacks and maybe flash forwards. But I love shows that don't take place in like a linear time. Like Lost was one of my favorite shows of all time, filled with flashbacks, just like Paradise and Sterling K. Brown. Oh, so good.
My 5 is Pee-wee as himself. And just nostalgic. I'm going the docuseries route. And it was just something I enjoyed watching and seeing. And my number 4 is The Chair Company. Again, something weird, something cringe, and just something we didn't get to see a lot of in the new year.
I need to watch that. You've been praising that show for weeks now. I need to watch that show.
That's right. You were hoping last week that it would get on the Golden Globes radar, and they clearly needed to listen to you more. Because I've been hearing that, that across the board about praise for The Chair Company. So I need to schedule.
It didn't get in at the Globes like I wanted it to, but it's in my heart.
Right. Well, let's see. My number 5, speaking of heart, in the bloody fashion, my number 5 is It, Welcome to Derry. I've been enjoying that Stephen King prequel series. I've been covering it weekly on Gold Derby. And it's, I was skeptical going in because I feel like it is a pretty complete story. I don't know how much the backstory adds to it. And I still don't know that it does, but I'm having a lot of fun with the show anyway. They're really going all in on the horror stuff. There's been some great monsters, some great creatures, some great effects. And it's fun to see Bill Skarsgård back as Pennywise. And they've added in some other elements of Stephen King universe, like Dick Halloran is in this version years before he goes to the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. So that's been fun to see. And the actor who plays Dick Halloran on the show is great. So I think he's done that role proud. So I've definitely been enjoying Welcome to Derry as sort of a weekly bit of horror in my TV calendar. And then my number 4 actually was a surprise because I wasn't expecting much from it, but Death by Lightning, the Netflix limited series with Michael Shannon as President James Garfield, who had a very short-lived tenure in office because he was assassinated 3 months into his term. And
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, exactly right for 19th century history. Spoiler alert. But Michael Shannon's great in it. Matthew McFadden's also in it as the assassin, and he does a great job, sort of a two-hander between the two of them. Nick Offerman has a great role as Chester A. Arthur, who takes over the presidency after Garfield dies. But it's just a really nice, and it's only 4 episodes, which was great too. Like sometimes these historical epics can go on and be really long-winded, but this one feels very concise, very focused, and does a really nice job contextualizing who Garfield was and why he mattered despite his short time in office. So yeah, that one was a nice surprise, and it was great to see Shannon and Offerman together. There's some of their scenes are some of my favorites of the year. So, all right. So let's go head to number 3 and number 2. Marcus, what are your 3 and 2?
Number three and two are the big Emmy winners, the studio in number three and the pit in number two. So, I mean, the studio, I remember watching that pilot and texting people saying this is the best pilot I've seen in years. And, I could just tell right away this is going to be a show I liked. And all of the long takes, episode two is all, completely one long take. And just the way it ended at CinemaCon with Bryan Cranston coming down from the ceiling. I mean, from episode one to the finale, it was just so good. I cannot wait for season two. And of course, it won 13 Emmy Awards, a new record for a comedy series. And then The Pit, this is another show I went into it thinking, is this for me? I don't know, because I usually like the loud sci-fi horror type shows. And this is like a traditional medical drama. It was so good. It's ER mixed with 24. And there's a moment where Noah Wyle has that breakdown in the peds room, and everyone was talking about it. And he won the Emmy, of course. And it's just very good. If you want like a throwback show that makes you feel like you're in the 90s again, watch The Pit.
Yeah, I mean, I went the same way with the studio. It was one of the best pilots that I've seen, and it did just make you laugh. And the other one I went was Hunting Wives, and here's where my trashiness comes in. I mean, who knew that I liked, gun-toting conservative lesbians so much? I guess that's my niche. But Netflix did it again, and that's my number two for the year.
Nice. Yeah, it's been a big year for Brittany Snow because she had that Hunting Wives, and she's in Beast in Me as well, which just got a bunch of Golden Globe nominations. So yeah, I think she seems to be on the upswing as Netflix's new favorite series person.
She was in Murdoch Murders too, so
Wow.
it is a big year for her.
Yeah, the Brittany Snow Assance. We'll have to figure out what to call it. Well, I'm completing the set and having the studio at my number three. Yeah, no, I think it's hard to say. I mean, it was definitely one of the best comedies, best new comedies of the year. Probably, I mean, it won the Emmy for best new comedy, and it just did a great job satirizing Hollywood without feeling too inside baseball. And all the for those of us like us who cover the industry, we were able to recognize all the things they were riffing on, but it did seem like it played to people, to normies, for lack of a better word, as well. And that's a hard thing to do for sure. So Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg deserve a lot of credit for that. And then my number two pick is Forever, which is the Netflix adaptation of the classic Judy Blume novel that was updated to the more present day and taken away from being about two white teenagers to focusing in on two black teenagers and the ups and downs of their romance. It's a really, really great series. I love they found two great lead actors. I love the way they let their romance play out over the course of the first season. There's a great sort of episode that takes into place entirely on Martha's Vineyard too, and that was a fun little almost bottle episode that they did that I thought was really great. And they are bringing it back for season two. I'm a little nervous about it because season one feels so complete and it tells such a wonderful, beautiful story and ends in such a great way. So I'm hoping that season two doesn't counteract that. But based on how good season one was, I have to give put faith that Mara Rocket Keel is going to has some really good ideas for season two.
For a show called Forever, I mean, it's gonna last a long time probably. I mean, season two is just the next step. It was very, very popular. It was a hit, especially amongst the younger crowd.
Yep, which is not me. So again, they're that and I love.
I'm not calling you old. No.
Absolutely not. But that show and I Love LA, both time when I was watching, I was like, boy, I really, I feel like I'm going to be caught watching this and be told that I can't, that it's not for me, and I should just go watch Death by Lightning instead. But I really did enjoy Forever. It put me in mind of a lot of the great teen shows I grew up with, but even more in depth and nuance, I think, than something like Dawson's Creek. As much as I love Dawson's Creek back in the day. All right, our number ones. Let's do it. Marcus, what was your number one new show of 2025?
Well, I feel like it's not really a surprise because I've mentioned it on several of other podcasts that we've done, but Pluribus is so good. If you haven't watched it yet, anybody, you need to watch it. Vince Gilligan is he's the smartest showrunner out there, the smartest writer, director, everything he does he started on the X-Files and then Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and now Pluribus. All of his shows are amazing. And Ray Seahorn gives the performance of the year. I mean, if she doesn't win the Globe, the Actor Award, the Critics' Choice, and the Emmy, there's something wrong with the voters, I feel like. But yeah, it's really good. I can't wait to see the finale. We're recording this before they release the finale, so maybe by the time people are watching it, they will have known how it ends.
My favorite was um, Dying for Sex. And speaking of, not winning an Emmy, she lost to my other favorite, Kristen Milioti for The Penguin, so I can't be too mad. But Michelle Williams, I mean, just heartbreaking and hilarious at the same time. Jenny Slate was so good in it, and it was just, I mean, hopefully Michelle can clean up some awards. Now that
Fingers crossed. Yeah, she
now
deserves
that
it.
now that the Emmys are over, maybe she can get um, the SAG award. The actor. I'm sorry, the
The
actor.
actor. That's right. Yeah, not SAG anymore. Nothing sagging at the SAG Awards. But yeah, no, it will be interesting if it definitely seems like Michelle has an open lane now with Christine Milioti having holding her Emmy high.
It's hard to get the momentum back though.
I feel like Sarah Snook also is really strong in that category for All Her Fault.
No, absolutely, yeah. That show did very well for Peacock. So I think and Sarah Snook has Succession on her resume, which is a great look. And Marcus, I'm definitely holding on to Pluribus. I'm gonna hopefully start watching that over the holidays. I've been waiting for it to finish so I can just blow through all. It's 8 episodes, 10 episodes,
I believe 9.
9. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, no, a 9 episode Pluribus binge sounds like a great way to celebrate 2026. My number one is The Lowdown on FX. This is Sterling Harjo's post Reservation Dogs show, and I loved Reservation Dogs. I thought that series was terrific, and it ended in exactly the right way. It's a little bit sad that it ended after only 3 seasons, but that last season was so good, and I think he really felt confident that I'm done with these characters and put them in a great place. So I'm very, very happy that how it wrapped up, even if I miss seeing the further adventures at the same time. And this new show is really fun. Ethan Hawke plays kind of a Big Lebowski type, down on his luck journalist / private eye who gets caught up in a Oklahoma set noir story. He's constantly getting punched in the face. He's constantly cracking wise and inhaling on his vape and things. It's just a fun hangout kind of show. I think Sterling Harjo has a great voice. He gets great actors. Kyle MacLachlan is in it. Gene Triplehorn is in it. So many great actors are in this.
Keith David, my favorite. I love Keith David.
Yes, and Keith David too. Thank you. Yes, yeah, Keith David's also terrific in it. Yeah, no, so it's just a fun crime yarn, and that's a genre I'm not always a fan of. But when it comes from someone like Sterling Harjo and features actors like this caliber, I'm all in. So yeah, no, The Lowdown, and it unfortunately didn't get recognized by the Globe, but I do think that the Ethan Hawke factor, the fact that Reservation Dogs was recognized in this last season, I think it's going to have a good year going into 2026. I can see it getting recognized by the guilds and the Emmys as well.
Yeah, I could see that was a little bit strange that it got snubbed at the Globes. I could totally see the Emmys, giving it some nominations.
Yeah. Ethan Hawke for at least, if nothing else. I think Ethan Hawke has a very, very good shot at an Emmy for sure.
Yeah. I also wanted to give a special mention to Alien Earth. If I had 6 slots, Alien Earth would be number 6. It was really good.
That's another one that I amazingly enough I watched the first episode of, and I meant to go back to it. And I just got caught up with everything else. So that's another one.
It's hard to get into that one. I agree with you. I watched the first one and I was like, okay, I'm gonna come back, and I haven't gotten back into it. So
it's a slow pace, definitely. But once things kick in around the episode 3 or 4, it gets better.
Yeah, no, and I should turn in my Xenomorph card because I love the Alien franchise. Like I like that's one of my favorite film franchises. So I feel bad that I haven't watched it. But again, yeah, it's finding the hours in the day. Sadly, it can be tough. But I do want to catch up on it. That's top of my list to catch up on. Speaking of which, that brings us to returning shows and series that came back this season with fresh episodes. So our top 5 returning shows of 2025. Denton, why don't you kick us off? What's your 5 and 4?
I am going with some reality junk to kick us off. I was happy to see American Idol come back. I enjoyed the finale. I was so happy Jamal Roberts won, and me and Marcus were there. And it was really like a special moment. So he was just seeing him prevail. And then my number 4 was Big Brother, which I also really thought this was a great season. Very trashy. And it was just a surprise win, I would say. Seeing Ashley kind of come from behind, and everyone thought she had no chance. And
she was almost voted out in week 1 because she took a 2-hour shower and pissed everyone off. And then remember Rachel getting eliminated in the hamster wheel?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
that made me
I mean,
mad. I was mad
it
for
was
weeks.
just a good season. So I'm just gonna take it down into the gutter with some reality TV to kick us off. So
Love it. Love it.
American Idol and Big Brother for my 5 and 4.
Fantastic. Marcus, how about yourself?
So my 5 and 4 are two shows that are in their third seasons and shows that I've always sort of liked and appreciated but never loved. But this season, The Gilded Age at 5 and The Diplomat at 4 really impressed me. I couldn't wait to see the next episode. I mean, Diplomat all aired at once, but Gilded Age, the waiting a week and talking about it online with people and sharing the memes. And oh my gosh, when Morgan Spector got shot, that was like crazy. It was so good. And then The Diplomat, Allison Janney and Bradley Whitford reunited from The West Wing. It was a genius casting move, and Carrie Russell was great, and Rufus with the twist of him becoming the vice president after the first two seasons was leading up to her being the VP. So both of those shows, I give the most improved award to those two.
Well, Denton, I'm joining you on the reality train because my number 5 is Survivor 49. I really, really, really enjoyed this season. It hasn't strategy wise, it hasn't been all that interesting, but they've had great personalities. They've had pretty good challenges. And Jeff Probst has just been on one. I think he is in fine form this whole season, saying some of the crazy the line that my family and I keep repeating to each other. He says in episode 1, "If you want a picnic, go to a park," and we've just been quoting that at each other ever since because it is classic Probst, and he's just been crazy ever since. So the evolution of Jeff Probst as a host has been something fascinating across all of Survivor history. So this edition has been pretty good.
Survivor's not on my list because I think the first half of the season was a little bit slow and boring, except for when the guy got bit by the snake. But the post-merge, you're right, it's been really good. Rizzo and Savannah are just amazing players.
And then my number 4 is Cobra Kai, which ended its run. Its 6-season run on Netflix back in February. Now it was a prolonged final season, and to be honest, the first part of it was really bad, and it seemed like there was no reason to keep this going. But in the final batch of episodes, it rediscovered itself, and by focusing again on Johnny Lawrence, which is where the show started and why that first season is still so good. And I think you almost don't have to watch anything else they did because that first season of Cobra Kai is a perfect sequel and a perfect legacy sequel to the franchise. It was still fun after that, but it never equaled that first season. This ending, though, was satisfying. Refocused on Johnny, gave Zabka a great farewell, and made up for some of the sins that it definitely had in the first half of season 6. So I was very happy to see Cobra Kai go out mostly on top and sweep the leg on its way out the door. All right, number 3 and 2, Denton. What's your third and second?
This is unpopular maybe, but I'm going to say Yellow Jackets. I just had a lot of fun. I interviewed the cast this season after all the episodes, and we did a lot of episode recaps, and it was just fun to talk to them about everything that was going on and everything happening. And they're finally getting out of the woods. I mean, we think. So hopefully that happens. And then Hacks. You know what? I wasn't the biggest fan of Hacks. And I think this season really turned it around for me, especially Hannah Einbinder, that Mrs. Table episode, which maybe we'll talk about later. I'm so glad that she won her Emmy. And finally, so I'm going to go with Yellow Jackets and Hacks for my 3 and 2.
Hacks, for me, the previous season was the better one. Actually, the one that won the Emmy for me was my favorite Hacks season. But you're right, this season was still really good. All right, so I have a reality show on my list too, and I have The Traitors season 3. This group of traitors was the messiest, naughtiest group. Bob the Drag Queen, Boston Rob, Carolyn from Survivor, Danielle, and Brittany from Big Brother. There were some epic fights in that turret. And I will admit, like halfway through the season, I think after pretty much when Boston Rob goes home, the season starts to get a little slower. But those scenes at the round table and some of the challenges in the turret and Alan Cummings' wardrobe, my gosh, such a good season. I'm so glad it won 4 Emmys, something like that. It crazily dominated the Emmy Awards.
The Traitors were so bad, though. I mean, they just couldn't get it together.
They were bad, but they were fun to watch, weren't they?
There you go.
My number 2 is Severance. After 3 years, the show finally comes back, and There was a lot of pressure. I mean, it could have sucked, and it didn't. It was really good. I loved the new cast members. Merritt Weaver was amazing. And the scene in the finale where Adam Scott is talking to himself on the video, going in and out of the house, it was just brilliant. I loved everything about this season. And I would have loved for it to win the Emmy, except for the pit was just a little bit better.
No, that was the battle. It was the head versus heart at the Emmys. And you're going to hear Severance again in a minute. But first, my number 3 is The White Lotus. And speaking of Mike White coming back to Survivor 49, Survivor 50. But I had a fun time with The White Lotus season 3. I think Italy is still my favorite season overall. But I enjoyed, again, the mix of the actors that he gets for the show are always fun to watch. I love the trio of Carrie Coon, Michelle Monaghan, and Leslie Bibb. I thought they were the standouts for me this season. The Thailand scenery was great. Having lived in that part of the world, it was fun to see that world represented on screen again. And yeah, it felt appropriately soapy while also having a lot of great character moments and insights, like the Sam Rockwell moment, Walton Goggins' whole journey. So I had a good time with White Lotus this season. I am curious to see where he takes it next. I do think it's a little bit in need of a shakeup in terms of how they structure the season. I think locking himself into, oh my God, there's been a murder, and then flashing back is getting a little old.
I think we can skip that part. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Let's find some other instigating incident by now. But it still worked enough for me this season. And then my number 2 as well, Marcus, is Severance. Again, coming back, there's a bunch of ways it could have gone wrong. Mostly it didn't. I do think you could tell it was a season 2 where they knew they had to keep some plates spinning before they decided how they were going to solve it in season 3. So there were a few storylines I thought needed a little bit more thought, or at least a little more payoff. But there was enough great stuff in there otherwise to forgive up those minor lapses, whether it's Merritt Weaver, who I agree is terrific, or the whole goats joke was also really funny, and it landed very well with the finale. So yeah, no, very strong second season. Excited to see where they take it in season 3.
Gwendolyn Christie was really good. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm just going to break in and say, no, Severance was number 1. I don't I don't care what anyone says. Adam Scott should have won. Severance should have won. No shade to the pit or Noah Wiley, but yeah, that's what I'm sticking with, and Severance is number 1 for me.
So my number 1 returning show, there's kind of an asterisk next to it because Stranger Things, we've only seen 4 episodes. There's going to be 3 more released on Christmas Day and 1 more, the finale, on New Year's Day. So it could end terribly, or it could end amazingly. And the 4th episode, called Sorcerer, I'm going to talk about that one a little bit later when we do our individual episodes, but it was so good. A little bit long. I mean, did it need to be 90 minutes? No. But the final 10 minutes of that was just completely epic. So I have my fingers crossed that Stranger Things sticks the landing when it finishes up here on December 31st.
No, I'm sure the Duffers are hoping as well that people like what they've come up with, because it would be terrible if everyone hates the last episode. If it's a Game of Thrones situation again, it's going to have a lot of pressure on the show. So we don't want Bran being named king at the end. My number 1 show is actually, Marcus, your number 5, The Gilded Age. I really enjoyed this season. The first 2 felt like Downton Abbey light, like Julian Fellows was just like, well, HBO is paying me, so I'm just going to rewrite the playbook. But I think season 3, it all really started clicking and coming together, and he figured out who these characters were, and the actors figured out who the characters were, and it was a really, really fun season. And yeah, made me genuinely excited for the next batch of episodes. It ended in a great place, and it had that great. It was reminding me of when Downton was at its best this season, and I was a huge Downton Abbey fan back in the day when that show was good, and it feels like we're maybe on the opposite, ascending as we go, instead of Downton, which started up here and then fell off very rapidly over the course of its run.
The Gilded Age is the only show that can make an entire storyline about a clock and make it interesting.
Exactly.
It was very interesting, and then the whole wedding storyline and with Taissa Farmiga, I think that's her name.
Yes.
And how that affected the marriage of her parents was just brilliant.
Yeah, no, really good stuff this season. So good job, Julian Fellows. You did it. You cracked it. You kept it going. Excellent. All right. Well, those are our new and returning favorites from the year. We also obviously we watch a lot during a year, and there's some shows that we can't keep up with either by accident, like an Alien Earth, or by choice. And so let's all go around and say the one show, new or returning, that we were like we sampled and said, okay, I'm out. I'm not sticking with this. Marcus, what show was that for you?
Well, I have a hard time quitting shows. I'm still watching Grey's Anatomy after 22 years.
That is wild.
And so the show that disappointed me the most, I'll phrase it that way, is Wednesday. We waited, again, just like Severance, we waited 3 years for Wednesday, and it really let me down. And I think a lot of it had to do with all of the hype. This thing was hyped like crazy. And remember the Lady Gaga scene? It was like a minute long, and they talked about that for a whole year, teasing it, and it was a big nothing burger. So the whole thing was disappointing to me, except for the episode where Wednesday and her roommate switch bodies. That was really, really good. That was actually the Lady Gaga episode, but it was that storyline sort of saved it for me, even though overall I was let down.
Yeah. I've quit that show so hard I haven't even watched the season. So
I was gonna say that wasn't even my choice, and I haven't seen that. So I'm with you there. Mine was The Bear, though. I just can't stick with it anymore, and apparently awards voters can't either. Although Jeremy Allen White's still in there for Golden Globes. But I don't know. Are you guys still into The Bear?
It's funny because I was gonna name The Bear as my most disappointing show, but I've always been disappointed by The Bear, so this season was nothing new.
Yeah, I'm mostly on the same page. Yeah, it's one that's a grudging, like, oh, okay, I guess I have to watch some of it. I don't even know if I finished season 4. I think I didn't. I think that was probably, but the one I think of the show I quit just because of how it debuted was it was a more recent one, and that was Black Rabbit, which was Netflix's big September show. Jude Law, Jason Bateman. This Bateman's first post Ozark show for Netflix, so there's a lot of excitement around that. Watched episode 1, and remembered why I didn't like Ozark back in the day. I was like, okay, yeah, no, this is not for me. I'm not going to keep going with this. So yeah, Black Rabbit was the one big new fall prestige show that I did not stick with. And honestly, I don't know if it got some nominations at the Golden Globes. I don't know that it really took off. I don't think it ever got as buzzy as they wanted it to be. So.
That's when I was gonna wait until I was gonna see how it did nominations wise, if it was worth me watching. And you're right, it got something at the Globes. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on exactly what, but I'm gonna probably pop it in over the winter break.
Well, if you finish it, tell me what happens, and then I don't have to bother. Not ever watching it.
I'm guessing there's a rabbit.
I hope so. Although plot twist, what if there isn't? And who knows what it is in that case? All right, let's also name our favorite moment from the year. This isn't necessarily based on any episodes, just our favorite moment in TV news, the TV landscape in general. Den, what was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment of the year, I think, it was centered around movies, but it happened on TV, and that was Demi Moore's Golden Globe win. Just seeing her get up there, have her moments. She wasn't expected to win, really, was she? I don't think she was the favorite. And just seeing her give that great speech, it was the moment of the night. It was really the moment of awards season. And sadly, she couldn't carry it through to the Oscars, but I was just happy for her. And that was by far my favorite awards moment of the season.
I also picked an awards moment, and that was John M. Chu winning Best Director at the Critics' Choice Awards. He was not expected to win. He was probably down in last place in our odds because he did not get an Oscar nomination, and his other nominees were all nominated at the Oscars. And when he got up there and he held up his statue, and he's like, "I'm going to win the Oscar now," and then he's like, "No, just kidding. I wasn't nominated." It was so good, and seeing Ariana and Cynthia's reactions at the table just made it all the more magical. Yes, I just said the word magical when talking about Wicked. But it was a moment that I have remembered this whole year because it happened, 11 months ago.
One honorable mention for a quick moment is the Severance Grand Central Station stunt, which is where they actually put the cast inside a cubicle in Grand Central Station and had everyone pass by. That was a great announcement for when for the show returning, and a great stunt, and it led to a year's worth of great stunts from both Severance and from other places. Viral marketing is getting very inventive when it comes to television, and I think that was a great example of that. But my main moment is another award show moment as well, and that's Stephen Colbert getting his first ever Emmy for The Late Show after living through a summer where he was canceled after Paramount acquired CBS and canceled the Late Show franchise, seemingly in deference to the Trump administration, although obviously we can't confirm that necessarily for sure. But it definitely seems like there was he lived through that. He lived through having to all the speculation around it and emerged on top, mainly because all the talk show community rallied around him, and that was really nice to see. Kimmel put up billboards saying he was voting for Colbert. There was all this great stuff, and the support that was shown to him was really, really wonderful. And then when he actually accepted, his speech was perfect as usual. So that was a great capper to that whole storyline, I think.
And then Kimmel got hits. It was a rough year for late nights.
Yes, exactly. Right. We needed something happy after this year, for sure.
It was fun seeing the odds change at Gold Derby. Like after the Colbert Show was canceled, the odds like kept going up higher. And then eventually it was like almost all of our experts and editors and users were picking Colbert at the end, and they were all right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And he has one more chance to potentially win again next year. Although I think it's most likely going to be Kimmel's turn, who had his own experience with the Trump administration. So I could see Colbert putting up his version of the billboard saying, "I'm voting for Kimmel next year."
Oh, he better.
He could probably win his.
Oh, he better.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's cap off our year in review with our favorite individual episodes from the year. We each came up with the top three. So, Marcus, why don't you walk us through your three the favorite episodes?
Yes. So we kind of just talked about it. It was Jimmy Kimmel returning to the airwaves. That was a must-watch episode of television. It got incredible ratings, and I just loved his speech. And he teared up, and he talked about he talked about some very controversial things, and also he made jokes. I love when he pulled the note out of his pocket from Disney saying, here's how to re-sign up for Disney Plus and Hulu, something like that. I'm butchering the joke, but it was just, water cooler TV at its finest.
My number 3 is going to be Yellow Jackets, A Normal Boring Life, when Melanie Linsky takes a bite out of Hilary Swank. And it's just an epic fight scene, and they're rolling around on the ground after having a standoff for like a full hour. There's such great dialogue. It's one of my favorite episodes of television, and definitely that series. So I wish it got a little bit more love. They both deserve some recognition for that. So A Normal Boring Life.
My number 3 is the episode of this season 2 of Doctor Who, Lux. This season of Doctor Who was not one of its finest, although I really like Ncuti Gatwa and his performance throughout as Doctor Who. I'm sorry that he's that he's moved on. But this was the second episode of the season, and it was a very meta episode, which Russell T Davies always does really well. And it involved a monster coming to life in a movie theater, shades of It, Welcome to Derry, and the Doctor and his companion had to go in and solve it, and that led to a whole Looney Tunes-esque parade of them going into different realities, including a reality where they met Doctor Who fans, and that became a whole thing. It was really fun to watch. I wish the whole season had been on that level in terms of inventiveness and creativity, but it was nice to see a little bit of that old Doctor Who Russell T Davies spirit showing up in what was otherwise not a great season for that show. All right, let's head to number 2. Marcus, what's your number 2 episode of the year?
Number 2 is Stranger Things, episode 4, Sorcerer. I kind of mentioned that earlier, but the last 10 minutes when Will, I'm not going to spoil anyone, but when Will figures out who he is and what he can do, it was incredible. I've seen a lot of reaction videos to people watching that and reacting, and that's exactly how I felt. Like, so it's such a powerful scene, and it was a great moment for the actor too, Will Noah Schnapp. So yeah, that's my number 2.
My number 2 is Monster, the Ed Gein story, and its mother. The first episode, because Laurie Metcalf is just a machine in this episode. I mean, she should have gotten a Golden Globe nomination or even a win for it. I mean, she's just brutal. I love Laurie Metcalf, and say what you want about the show, but I absolutely loved her sort of just powering her way through that.
My number 2 was an episode from the Mr. Scorsese Apple TV docuseries about Martin Scorsese's life and career from Rebecca Miller. And that one specifically dealt with his sort of crash after he made New York, New York, which is a very flawed film, a very interesting film, but a very flawed film. And he just he had a personal and professional crisis after that film. And this particular episode sort of dealt with how he dug himself out of that. And in the process made Raging Bull, which is one of his certainly most defining films, and then The Last Temptation of Christ, which is one of my favorite Scorsese films. And so the way he sort of fought himself back from the brink of essentially oblivion and finding a second life in that point of his career is a really fascinating part of his legacy. And I thought that episode did it exceptionally well, sort of bringing that to life, and all the people Rebecca Miller got to talk about that era in his life. So that show was in general pretty good, but that episode particularly really stood out in terms of capturing that period in a very important filmmaker's arc. All right, number 1, our number 1 episode of the year. Marcus, kick us off.
It's got to be the studio pilot. I watch a ton of television, everybody, and this is the best comedy pilot I have seen since Arrested Development in 2003. That's how much I loved it. It just, the show just got better and better after that. Except for the episode where he went to that dinner with the other people that were not in the business. They were like doctors or something. I hated that episode. Otherwise, I loved all the other episodes of the studio, starting with the pilot.
My number 1 is sentimental, and it's the American Idol finale. And part of it was because we were there. We were sitting by the mayor of Jamal Roberts, who won, and everyone was screaming and crying. I just loved seeing him win. It was an emotional moment, and then we got to talk to him right after, and it was exciting. People were rooting for him,
and there was confetti, and he got down and did a snow angel in the confetti. Right.
He did, and he's from Mississippi. They don't have no snow, so it was a lot of fun to chat with him after he won as well.
Nice. Well, my number 1 is similar to my number 3, an episode from a season that was of a long-running show that didn't have one of its best seasons, but I thought this episode recaptures some of the magic that I loved about in the beginning, and that's Only Murders in the Building's second episode of the season, which is After You, which is all the one entirely about the doorman Lester.
That was a good one.
And it was a really, really good one. We get to flash back to his early days, see how he became the doorman for life, essentially, since he's the murder victim of this season. They always have that one episode a season that's sort of separate from the main storyline. The silent episode way back in season 1, and things like that. It's sort of a special, creatively inventive episode, and that was that version of this season. And it really stood out to me just in terms of allowing us to see more about the Arconia, giving us that history, letting us see a character we hadn't known about, being inventive again. So much of this season felt like it was going through the motions, but that episode really stood out to me and reminded me about why the show really clicked with me so much in the beginning. And I wish they would find a way to get back to that a little bit more and leave some of the stunt casting and the sort of machinations by the side, and just remember that the characters are at the root of it. So that episode really stands out to me among what was otherwise not a great season for that show.
I could see that one getting writing and directing noms at the Emmys. I agree. It was really a standout episode. And I'm not looking forward to them going to England in season 6.
Right. Yeah.
They need to stay in the building.
Exactly right. It feels a little bit like a jump the Atlantic Shark moment by acknowledging well, we're out of stories here. We got to go somewhere else. And when you do that, I feel like you've lost what the show is about. So yeah, no, I'm a little concerned about that as well.
We'll see.
I guess it gives them a whole new bunch of actors to cast. They've had to limit themselves to New York actors. Now they can go to England and get all those British actors on the show. So we're going to have a whole bunch of guest star actors next year from England up for the Emmys. Excellent. All right. Well, those are our picks for the best in television, or the favorites in television.
I would say favorites. Definitely, at least for myself.
Right. Yeah. Voters, listen in. These are things you need to be voting for next year. We have the true best of the year right here, from The Traitors to Survivor to Only Murders in the Building. This is what you need to be voting for. But thanks so much for hanging out with us at Awards Magnet all this year. We're excited to start talking 2026 television very soon, as well as all the 2025 shows that are in contention for the early 2026 awards. But we'll be back with more to say about TV, film, and everything in the new year. Enjoy the rest of your holidays, and you'll hear from us soon. Thanks for listening to Awards Magnet, Gold Derby podcast. Like what you heard? Leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Awards Magnet is produced by Andrew Merrill. Our logo is designed by Chelsea Sakura. Please like and subscribe to stay on top of all the awards news, and email us at awardsmagnet@goldderby.com.